cold and flu season is upon us, and certainly I have succumbed to that this year, but it's also just throughout the year, right? There's all kinds of bugs and germs and things that are infecting us, and we're trying to stay healthy as best we can. Today, I'm going to show you 2 ways that we incorporate into our regular, either quarterly, monthly, or just yearly routine. One of those ways, the first way, is fermented garlic honey. What is that? It's basically a raw garlic clove that is smashed to kind of let out all of those medicinal properties that are already in garlic, thrown in some local raw honey, and put into your pantry to let sit. This is about 1.5 years old, and it's beautiful. It smells so potent. Oh, but so good. So why do this? Why make fermented garlic honey? Well, it can aid in many things. It's very good for you. I'm just going to list off a few of the ways, and then you can do your own research. But it aids in digestion. It helps boost your immune system. It can reduce blood pressure. It can help with cholesterol. And it's also good just for overall detoxification within your body. You may know that garlic just has so many medicinal properties in itself, as does local raw honey. So combining the 2 makes this wonderful powerhouse for your health. And it's something you can incorporate daily, weekly, monthly. It's totally up to you. As we go through this, I'll talk about how we use the fermented garlic honey and different ways that you can use that. Before I get started, I really think it's important to note that even though this is just 2 ingredients, right, garlic and honey, you want to make sure you are getting good quality organic garlic, and always starting with the best garlic you can, as well as the honey. You always hear local raw honey is best. Why is that? Well, raw honey has wonderful properties that can be killed off during a heating process, even mild heating, right? Any kind of pasteurization or heating process. And so you always want to get raw honey, but you also want to get local. So you may get raw honey from a state far away from you, and while that's still great, it may not help as well as local honey could for seasonal allergies. So find a local beekeeper, become friends with them, get some honey, go to a farmer's market, go to a small general store, but always get local raw honey. So I have a huge basket of garlic here, and you can tell, I'm sure you'll be able to tell, right? Some of this garlic is just so pretty and beautiful tight heads, and some of this garlic is just a little smaller, a little bit more worn, right? This is the garlic I grew and harvested this past summer. So I am actually going to pick out all of the garlic I have grown, and I'm going to be using that today. Now this garlic, goodness, some of it's already starting to sprout, I can see. This is organic garlic that I purchased from Azure Standard. So if I need some, I'll actually be pulling from some of these ones that are starting to sprout as well. But I want to use my garlic first, and so that's what I'm doing here today. So all I'm going to do is start by just smashing. I want to get all of the cloves released, and I have a jar here of our own honey that was in our pantry. You can see, right, there's just not much left. This was just a perfect opportunity for me to use this. I'm going to throw all of my garlic cloves in here and then top it with some more of our honey. Now, this can be a process that you do with your family. It doesn't have to be tedious. But what's really important is that when you are peeling your garlic, before you throw it in, you really want to smash it. And I'm just going to do this a variety of ways as I'm getting into this. But just for demonstration's sake here, it's really important that you smash the garlic clove, because that is what allows all the medicinal properties to freely come about. And I'm just going to throw it in my honey. And so I'm going to put all my papers in my bowl and just start working through. I'm going to try and release as many cloves as possible before I start smashing, because I can just do it all at once. If you have any cloves that just kind of look a little then set those aside in your compost. I have so much garlic here, so I don't really want to fiddle with anything that is not top notch. Okay, I've worked through my garlic. I'm now pulling out as many of the sprouted bulbs as possible from the garlic from Azure that I had purchased in my last drop. Well, it's probably about 2 months ago now. Because, again, I have so much beautiful garlic. Even though it's sprouting, it still has wonderful medicinal properties, healthful properties that I can extract into this honey. This is all of the garlic over here that I've already peeled. I'm just doing a little smash to help get the papers off. So I want to tell you how we use the fermented garlic honey. Really, two major ways in our kitchen or in our medicine cabinet. The first and maybe the most obvious is just to take a spoonful. So when I am not feeling well, I will take a spoon and just kind of grab a couple of chunks of garlic from our fermented garlic honey and eat it. Just eat the garlic. It is potent. You may not want to get close to someone afterwards, but when you're not feeling well, or you want to keep your immune system up when everyone else isn't feeling well, sometimes those things just come in second behind your health. So I will literally just eat a couple of cloves of garlic at a time, maybe 2 to 3 times a day, again, depending on how I'm feeling. And I will also take a spoonful of the honey. Take a clean spoon, put it in the jar, and just pull out a tablespoon of honey, and just kind of put that down my mouth, my throat too. And it helps aid with, as like a coating your throat too. If you have a dry, scratchy throat or, a cough, it may actually feel really good in that way. The other way I do this, because I don't really get my kids to eat a clove of garlic like that. If you do, congratulations, tell me your secrets. But what I'll do is I'll make a salad dressing. And so I'll take some of that garlic, I won't mince it, I'll take some of that honey and mix it, maybe it's with a little Dijon mustard, with a little white wine vinegar, and kind of make, some sort of salad dressing. Our salad dressings we always make, we don't buy. And they're just kind of whatever we're feeling. But the fermented garlic honey is a great way to get that into your own body and your family's bodies, and to help boost their immune system and with overall health. You don't ever want to use your fermented garlic honey in an instance where it's going to get heated up, because again, once you're cooking and heating the honey, you're really killing all of those wonderful properties that make it so healthful and medicinal for you in the beginning. The best part too about this is it doesn't go bad. It can sit in your pantry and it will never go bad. Honey, as you may know, is one of those foods that actually never goes bad. It can stay in your pantry, for years and still be very viable and very good. And so when you throw the garlic in, well, it's just a double whammy. It's still not going to go bad, and it's going to just extract more of those properties from the garlic and be even better. So I usually like to let it sit for a minimum of 6 months, but I find after a year it's just perfect. And so try to think about that, when you're running low and when you think you're going to need it. It does require just a little thought ahead of time, But if you always have some sort of rotation going through in your pantry, you'll never run out. Okay, I've got quite the stash here. We're gonna start with this. I'm just gonna smash them a little bit. Again, when you crush garlic, it really helps kind of release those properties so much easier and faster. I usually do this with a knife because I have such a big mound here. I'm just gonna go through. They don't have to be pulverized. They just need to be enough where, you know, they're kind of broken apart. You can see that they're crushed. And I'm just going to throw the ones that are obviously crushed into my quart jar of honey here. You can start with an empty jar. You do not need to have, you know, a half used jar like I'm using. I'm just using what we have from the pantry. You can start with a pint jar, a quart jar, whichever you prefer, and just start loading it in with your crushed garlic. Okay, it's pretty filled. So now we're going to top it with honey. Just going to use a chopstick here to help move it around and get it down actually into the jar. My big boy. I'm actually going to balance this if I can, because I think that whole pint is going to fit in. Okay, so while that's kind of balanced and dripping down, so I wanted to show you, right? Normally, then probably what you saw with my honey is it's very thick and slow to kind of pour out. And when you're doing your fermented garlic honey, over time, you are going to see it become a lot more viscous, a lot more flowy, easily flowy, and that's just naturally part of fermented garlic honey. That should happen. It'll take a little while, but it will happen. And the other thing I want to mention is you don't have to use any special jars. You don't have to use any kind of fermenting airlock lid, nothing like that. You can just use whatever jar you have, whatever lid you have, and put it in your pantry. And you really just every now and then want to shake it up, maybe once a week. Get on a rotation whenever you're maybe watering your indoor plants or flipping your cheeses, right, that you've made. This is kind of what I do, right? So once a week, I will make sure I'm shaking my fermented garlic honey. Now, because this is a 1.5 years old, I actually don't do that too much now, but I will be doing that with the one that we've just made and that's still kind of straining through. You want to do that once a week or as often as you can remember for just a few months to really help. It loosens up that honey. It gets a lot of those properties kind of infused into the honey, and that's how you'll see it get more viscous. Okay, that looks pretty good. I can see that the honey is all the way top to bottom. I'm going to take this off, and my jar is fairly full here at the top. I'm just going to clean up this edge a bit. All right, and once you're satisfied with the jar being cleaned up and not too sticky, you can go ahead and put your lid on. You can try and shake it. It's not going to move too much right now. I mean, it's still very, very thick. Yeah, not much movement at this point. But this is going to go in the pantry, and I'm going to keep it there for about a year. I'll probably actually make another pint just because I have some more sprouted garlic and we're running low here. While we're here, I could use a little immune boost right now as I'm recovering from my cold. So I'm going to take a spoonful here of some honey as well as a nice big hunk of garlic. That's gonna make my coffee taste so good. That's really good. Back in the pantry it goes. Okay, now on to the second way in which we try to kind of keep our immune system up, but also help with aiding with inflammation. You may have heard that turmeric, this is raw turmeric root. Turmeric is really good for inflammation. And then ginger, this is raw ginger root, is also really good for inflammation and digestion. And we are going to put those two together with some organic lemon juice. It's kind of the vehicle to get this into some sort of liquid. I'm going to peel most of this turmeric the best I can. I'm not gonna get crazy about making this perfect. Same with the ginger, just doing the best I can. And I'm going to throw them both into my Vitamix, my high-speed blender, with some lemon juice. Now, I bought this and the turmeric from Azure on my last drop just for this particular purpose. I also found You also could use fresh lemon. These are 3 I found in our fridge. I'm not actually using them. These look horrible. So let's put those aside. Things you find in your refrigerator. But you can use organic bottled lemon juice, or you can use fresh squeezed lemon juice too. In the past, and we have been making these, we call them the Tumeric Shots in our house. We've been making these for probably about 3 years now. We learned about them from a local health food store that would sell them into these like little jars, and they were like $3 or $4 each. But we loved them. We really loved how they made us feel. It helped reducing some of the inflammation that we were feeling in our body. And so it was at that point we're like, I wonder if we can make this better on our own and for a lot less money. And that's how this came about. So when we had been making this over the last couple of years, I actually used a juicer. If you have a juicer, by all means, feel free to use that. We've had both kind of the high-speed juicer, I think it was a Breville, and now we sold the Breville, and now we have a slow masticating juicer, which basically means that it's almost like it's grinding the pulp of whatever it is you put in there, and it's happening very slowly to extract the juice so that it's not heating the juice up. Again, heat can be the enemy for some foods and killing all of the wonderful properties within them. With those high-speed blenders, sometimes they get really hot and they heat up the juice, whereas the masticating slow juicers, it doesn't happen. Anyway, long story short, that's what we had been doing. If you have a juicer, by all means, feel free to use that. This is going to be my first time using the Vitamix with this process. I'm doing it, number 1, for simplicity. I don't want to have all this cleanup. I want to make this fast, easy, simple, not just for me, but for you too. And number 2, I realize not everybody has a juicer, but someone just about everywhere has some sort of blender, whether it be the Ninja or the Vitamix or the Bullet, right? Some sort of high-speed blender that you can use to do this. So that is our goal today. I'm just gonna start peeling, throwing things into the canister of the blender, and then we'll put our lemon juice in. Now, normally I would have an equal ratio here of, where is my peeler? Normally I would have an equal ratio of turmeric and ginger. I do not. I actually have more turmeric. Again, it's okay. I'm just using what we have in the refrigerator. Raw turmeric is just so beautiful. I mean, look at that wonderful orange color. And be aware, it will probably stain your fingers for a little while, a couple of days. But it's so potent. So I'm just gonna kind of chop this a little bit to help the blender out and throw it in. And that's all I'm gonna do. Just peel the best I can. Chop it up and throw it in. Now, people may ask, can you do this with dried powdered ginger? And I'm gonna say, go ahead and try it. I haven't done it. Most people have turmeric in their spice cabinet. It certainly might be easier to find than whole turmeric root, especially organic whole turmeric root, which again, another plug for Azure Standard because that's where I got this. But if all you can find is the organic turmeric powder, then by all means, do it, right? Now, if you're going to do the turmeric powder, I would recommend doing the whole ginger root and not ginger powder. And the reason I say that is because I just think you're not going to get the same kind of quality product if you use two powders, right? Whereas ginger root is a little bit more easy to find in most stores. So if you're gonna do turmeric powder, just use the ginger root. Sometimes with ginger, I prefer to actually just take my knife and kind of cut the skin off a bit. The turmeric skin came off really easy compared to the ginger. So sometimes with ginger, just do it, you know, what's easier for you. But sometimes I just do that and kind of cut it off with the knife a bit. Okay, I feel pretty good about everything being peeled. So I'm just gonna start roughly chopping. The ginger is just a little bit more fibrous. Now the insanely easy part, we're gonna put in our lemon juice. So there is no tried and true kind of recipe with ratios. I'm just gonna make sure I get the lemon juice probably equal with my solids. I wanna make sure there's enough liquid in here to really help pulverize this into almost like a smoothie. It's still a little thick in my opinion, so when I say a smoothie, I don't mean necessarily smoothie consistency. I'm gonna add the rest of my lemon juice in here. You do want it to, it's gonna have some thickness to it, right? Because we didn't actually strain out the pulp as a juicer would, but you don't want it so thick that it's not necessarily comfortable swallowing. So you want it to be somewhat liquidy enough that you feel comfortable drinking it with that texture. I'm not about to lose all of this goodness in here, so I'm just gonna take a spoon, get that back in. I think that's pretty good. So if you're gonna go to the trouble to do this work and make a big batch, you're not gonna wanna keep it in the refrigerator. You wanna keep it as fresh and as strong and loaded with all of those anti-inflammatory properties as possible. So we're gonna pour into an ice cube tray, freeze them, and then I'll show you how you take it. I'm not really making this very clean because I intend to do that here. Look at the color. I mean, the color is just so beautiful. Turmeric is one of those ones that I use in our kitchen for natural food coloring. You don't need a lot for it to work, and you can just see how gorgeous nature's orange is. Nature's orange food coloring. All right, these are gonna go in the freezer. So when I feel that I need just a little extra help with inflammation, whatever the case may be, I will take an ice cube out at night, put it in a shot glass or just a little cup, put it in the refrigerator, let it thaw overnight, and in the morning it is ready to go. So this is our little Mickey Mouse shot glass that our kids do their elderberry syrup shots in. So I'm gonna take a shot and enjoy the benefits. Bottoms up. Be careful not to spill that on yourself, because turmeric is, I mean, my hands are already, I don't know if you can see it, and it's all over the counter. I've got to get this cleaned up. Turmeric can stain a little bit. It will come out. It just might take some time. Thanks for joining me today. I would really love to hear your feedback if you do end up trying to make your own fermented garlic honey or your own turmeric ginger lemon shots. Stay healthy, stay well. I will see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.